Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome everybody, welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet because I'm a glutton for punishment and hearing myself talk every single week. But it's okay. Without further ado, we got to plug the title sponsor of the podcast, Go Fast Don't Suck. They made this awesome banner behind me, which you can have wherever you're at. So you can go get an awesome banner, hang it up in your basement or living room, and feel super cool. Dry fire decals, match banners, match jerseys if you want them. They make custom ones. They'll do them for your match. They're awesome. I love the quality of them. But anyway, without further ado, go to gofastdon'tsuck.net. Tell them Manny sent you in the order notes and move on with your day. Without further ado, we're talking to my buddy, Mr. Alex Cate. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a Sunday evening before Thanksgiving, so it's not too bad.
Ready to eat?
I don't want to even think about food. I just ate dinner. I'm good. But no. So speaking of that, are you going anywhere for Thanksgiving?
Nope, we're staying in.
All by yourself to eat your little turkey breast all by yourself?
Pretty much. Yeah.
But really, you know what the best thing about Thanksgivings is? The sides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't even care for the turkey that much, man. It's like the sweet potato marshmallow stuff. I forget what that's called. I don't even know the names of the foods. I just eat them.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I'm a sides guy through and through. So I can't. I don't. Not that I don't mind the turkey, but it's definitely all about the sides.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you.
Yeah. So anyway, some people probably don't know you. But who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
Oh, my name is Alex Cate. The name Tex actually comes from I am from Texas. I was born in here in Michigan, moved down there when I was young, lived there for the majority of my young life. When I moved home, there was too many Alexes in the school and on the football team. So one of my football coaches called me Texas, and that ran through high school, and it never left me. So that's where that comes from. But how I got into shooting. Back in 2021, I was a competitive bodybuilder for about 8 years and a coach. 2021, January, I went to Colorado with some friends. We were backcountry riding the backside of Steamboat Springs, and I took a pretty bad tumble. And that tumble caused a dislocation that lasted for 2.5 hours, leaving me with axillary nerve palsy and paralysis in my right shoulder down, which you can actually see if just in the video, you can see the differences within my shoulders. Coming out of that, I had lost about 60, 70 pounds. It felt like, I think the actual number was about 56 or 57 pounds total that I had lost in those 6 months of being down. When I got back up, it was going to be a long recovery. Prior to, I was always a big gun guy, but I needed to find something new to dive into. I spent a lot of time building cars at that time. Obviously, in that time period, I lost a lot of love and passion for a lot of things that I spent a lot of time doing. I still do them a little bit nowadays, but I really found my love for shooting because it was something that I could still do, even with the hindrance of my shoulder. So coming out of the paralysis, I wanted to get into some sort of competitive nature when it came to shooting. I was really interested in PRS, so that was kind of the only one that I knew about at the time. But due to the resources I had at the time, that wasn't really in the books for me. So I got into some local leagues over at my local range and shot those every Tuesday for, I don't know, probably about a month, 2 months. And I was every Tuesday, Thursday, forever for about 2 months. And a guy in there who I would always shoot late nights because I'd work 10-hour days. One day he's like, man, you should come down and check out the club. And I'm like, what's the club? He's like, we do all kinds of different shooting up there. You ever heard of USPSA? I'm like, the United States Postal Service have some sort of alternate location? Where are you taking me, man? It's like, no, just come down to the club. I got to show you something. This guy named, you may know him, Tom Lovett is his name.
Tom,
Yeah, it was Tom Lovett.
Before we go on with the story, Tom is the most interesting person you'll meet. It's like, bro, put some sleeves on. It's like cold out. Like, but he'd be happily smoking a cigarette, shooting his PCC, and it's like, bro, you make me look cold.
Yeah, seriously, having a ball. It could be snowing out there. We're shooting Steel Challenge, sitting around the heater as he comes back up, shirt buttoned halfway down. That's Tom for you.
He's got to have nerve damage some form.
Oh, yeah, something like that. But he brought me down to the club and brought me to a USPSA practice on a Wednesday. I loved the practice so much. I said, "Wow, you guys compete in matches?" They said, "Yeah, there was a match this Saturday at or this Sunday at DSC. But let's start with something local. There's an IDPA match on Saturday." So my first match was an IDPA match,
Hmm.
which is funny nowadays, because I barely ever shoot it, and I'm one of those guys who I love IDPA for its purpose, but I'm such a freestyle guy. It drives me nuts.
Hmm.
Um, so I did that IDPA match that Saturday, and I was just like, this is cool. I like this. It was kind of like some little bits of training I had done in the past or previous lines of work. And he said, "Yeah, but what we do tomorrow is that's the real game." I went down to DSC, shot my first USPSA match August 21st, 2020, or August 25th, 2021, and I did not miss a weekend since. Within about 6 months, I was being asked to be a match director at my local club due to when I say I dive into something, I dive into it a lot like you, Alex. You want to know every little bit there is to know about it so you can understand it and perform your best. Um, and next thing you know, within 6 months, I'm learning the game faster than I ever could have just from shooting about 36 matches in my first year, traveling everywhere that I could to running a club, setting up stages and learning it the hard way. And that was a very challenging task that I'm glad I overcame as well. But yeah, it was kind of a second life to me, shooting has become.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Honestly, like if you think about it, that's a lot of time, dedication, and effort put into practical shooting. 37 matches in your first year. I was just talking to your buddy T Bone the other night,
Yeah.
and he kind of said the same thing when he started this year. He's like, "Yeah, I saw so many matches." I'm like, "Did you ever feel like shooting those 37 matches in your first year kind of was a little over the horse, over the handlebars, or did it feel collected and calm for the most part, running and doing all that?"
I honestly, because of the people I had around me, luckily it was, as you know, it's such a beautiful community. Everybody saw how much I was pouring into it, so a lot of the guys around me really took me under their wing. Guys who had played this game a long time, and they really they indulged me. I
Hmm.
was constantly asking questions, constantly wanting to learn. So at no point did I fall over the handlebars because I don't think I ever hit a wall that I could not break through, even when I saw plateaus because of either my own mental abilities mixed with the surroundings that I had and people willing to give me the advice that a lot of people have a hard time taking. So I think that first year was extremely productive. And I came into my second year as a whole new shooter, which was awesome for
Hmm.
me. So, and it's happened every year since. And I've
Right.
just kind of continued to do the same thing, reach out and work with everybody else around me and help each other grow because that's what people did for me.
Right. So you started shooting pretty much in late 2021. Did you come in shooting carry optics, or did you shoot production like some weirdo?
No, I didn't actually. I shot limited minor like a bigger weirdo.
Well, that's more
Um,
acceptable, I think, because you just fill your mags up and call it a day.
yeah, but I shot a Beretta M9A3, the cool little FDE one, for my whole first year of shooting until I cracked the locking block in a two-gun match going into my second year, and that's when it was all right. I'm done using what I've been using. Yeah, I could just get a new one and keep shooting it, but at this moment, I'm needing and wanting to kind of try something a little new, advance my skill sets a little bit. Everyone else around me shot at carry optics, right? Everyone
Hmm.
shoots carry optics, which I don't now, but
But you could be shooting a peanut butter and jelly Beretta if you really felt cool. Like you could have sent it to Langdon and it been super cool.
I did want to. Believe me, that was something I had thought about doing. Had I not ended up coming across getting a Sig 320 Max and going into that gun was a whole new level for me.
Hmm.
Any of the people who shoot with me and have shot with me over these years, they told me to throw that Beretta in the trash. Now, to this day, I want another Beretta. It wasn't because it's a bad gun. It was because it wasn't right for me, and we
Hmm.
all knew it. So when
Yeah.
I finally got something that was right, I went right into carry optics, and I was shooting the Sig 320.
Yeah. So, but JJ shooting a Beretta, and it's so
Yeah.
fancy. No,
Yeah, so does Jess Morrow. I would love to shoot a 92X down the road, but I got to put a couple of years on these CZ75 platforms before I'm ever gonna change it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Now, so but you did go from the M9A3 to the Sig P320. What? Pretty much from what 22 till the beginning of 23, right? Because
Yep.
it didn't seem until like right before Michigan sectional did you have any issues with that.
Yeah, and then I had, quite a big issue.
Yeah.
That led me a week before Michigan sectionals, as you know, because you helped me get some of the parts together for it. Thank you again.
Okay.
And I was able to get a Shadow 2 going within a week of Michigan sectionals and get my gear together, magazines together. The plate, which was the hardest part, obviously, was the plate,
Hmm.
so that I could show up to Michigan sectionals and play carry optics with a whole new platform.
Speaking of that plate, how is that plate holding up?
Awesome. Awesome. I recommend it to everybody.
Oh, that's good because I just literally went to the guy who breaks everything CZ. I was like, "What plate do you use?" And he's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "Okay, there you go. There's
Yep.
your link."
I got 20,000 rounds, if not more, probably more. I'd have to look at the sheet. About 20,000 rounds on that plate. And I'll be honest, I did find right before I left for Area 2, 2 weeks ago, I grabbed my gun. Long story short, I quit my job the day before I was leaving for Area 2. So I had the day off the day before I left, or 2 days before. So I had the day off before I left. And I was just sitting there dry firing. And I'm like, all right, practice the last few days was kind of scattery.
Hmm.
I don't know why. So let's dry fire. Let's work it out. And I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Then I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of holding on to the optic, like just thinking. And I kind of start twisting it a little bit and I feel a rock. I'm like,
Hmm.
what's going on here? I look down, my optic is rocking. Now, mind you, the plate wasn't rocking, the optic was rocking. That plate has not moved at all.
Well, that's good. Well, and you think with 20,000 rounds on it, yeah, it's definitely time to retighten the screws.
Yeah, on the optic at least, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I did it on both. I relocked, cleaned out, relocked, tied it both right before Area 2 and had no problems. But
Hmm. Well, yeah. So, for people who don't know, what happened with your P320s right before sectional?
so for people, a lot of people generally when I come up to people, I say, "Did you ever see this video?" And if anybody has seen the video of the guy in the green coat shooting a Sig Sauer 320 at plates, and all of a sudden it actually explodes in his hands. Well, that was me. That was my gun. That was my hands. Everybody had put their 2 cents in about it. Even Stoker put it up on his page. It started a fire. Um, and to a point to where I was almost trying to put them out because I wasn't trying to create enemies with guys like Bruce Gray, for example, because what happened was, and people want to blame it on reloads. I was not shooting reloads. I don't even own a press. I could put this camera in a 360 and you would see I don't even own a press, so I don't want to hear it. Yes, I've reloaded before with friends, but I was not shooting reloads on this day. Um, and I'm not going to say whose ammo it was because I do not want to give anybody any reason to yell at that company either, because that company is also very good to me.
Hmm.
Um, but there is a engineering and I was a machinist for a long time. Now again, I don't know above all, but from my experience, there is a gap that was engineered into the 320 platform that allows a 4.66 millimeter gap at the breech where the sear can still drop.
Hmm.
That's what happened to me. So when you have an opening at the breech, that's no longer a controlled explosion and you can end up with a case rupture.
Hmm.
All right. So when it hit, the slide wasn't all the way forward and it kind of exploded in every direction on me.
Right.
Um, Obviously, later down the road, I worked with a couple other people who were very well experienced as well. And we all kind of came to that same conclusion is that's what happened was this breech gap allowed for the firing pin to still drop before it was closed at the breech.
Hmm.
Causing an uncontrolled explosion, which thankfully for me, I was using lock grips, brass grips, and an egg she grip because it saved my hands. I got some burns, nothing too bad, thankfully, but I had switched to a metal grip, and I truly believe that saved my hands that day.
Hmm.
But that video is up and out there on my Instagram too. If anyone wants to see it and make their own opinions on it, that's fine. I love to hear them.
Right.
But it was very unfortunate happening a week before sectionals, obviously, as we talked about.
Well, yeah, and then you go, I'm like, well, I'm not going to shoot a striker fire gun. I'm going to go get a DASA gun and be like,
Yeah. Go back to my roots because I started with one, right?
right?
I figured, I've always trusted as a machinist, I know metal. I may have worked in plastic injection for a while, but it doesn't mean I know plastic. I know how to make metal to make plastic.
I know plastic.
Right. So you know plastic.
I know plastic. That's my that's my day job is plastic.
Right. And my day job was metals.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm someone who looks at, like, for myself, I really would like an MPA. Not that other brands aren't similar, but because as a machinist and as a five-axis machinist and a finish machinist, I see the time that they put into it. I can tell the difference between a real machinist behind the machine and an operator, and or someone who designed it who was a machinist versus someone who designed it who's a gun guy.
Mhm.
There's very big differences. Most people can't tell. It's not a huge performance difference in anything, but for a preference based on my knowledge, that's kind of what I go for. Like, I even just picked up a DWX, and that's my possibly new primary, but as of right now, the backup, because the Shadow is just a workhorse. Because I am so happy with that purchase when I went and got a Shadow 2, fully Cajunized. Obviously, it's fully lock gripped out. I use the new brass lock jaws, which have been absolutely unbelievable, dude. They're cheese graters. It's sweet.
I still say they need, like, right, the front lip of the edge of the grip needs to be just so you can put your fingers there and not be like, oh, I'm
Yep.
squirting blood out of my fingertips every time. That's just me.
Yeah, that is. You're not the only one, man. I've heard that from a couple of people, and even Pat Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
He's the second he got his, he told me he's smoothing his out, and so that he has a smooth spot for his strong hand middle finger. It's not getting crushed. I'm assuming the exact same thing you mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the one thing is, like, they're nice and grippy, but it's just like,
Right.
I mean, I do like aggressive grips, but they're just like that spot. Saying it.
Yeah.
That's it. But
Yeah. I'll put in a word.
yeah, exactly. Now so you went to the Shadow 2, now you're playing with the DWX and limited optics. God, why am I having a brain
Yep.
fart today? So you're playing pretty much in limited optics, especially since Carry Optics Nationals was so early in the season.
Right.
Do you plan to shoot the off season or the winter season in Carry Optics or limited optics?
Limited optics. I think I've pretty much fully, and I'm not even a 2011. I don't even own a 2011 as much as I wish I did, and I will one day. I don't even own a 2011. And it seems like it's obviously very much so a 2011 division for the most part, but there's also guys like Lockwood shooting, gray gun Sig 320 with a magwell. So it really doesn't matter. I've come to find. But limited optics is definitely anyone who watches follows my Instagram or anything like that, they see how much I love to reload. So reloads are like my turn on when it comes to speed shooting. If you ask me to do a reload, I'm stoked. I'm like, let's go. I practice them so much. I really enjoy doing them. So being allowed to use my magwell is really just something of preference for me. It's not that I think I get some extreme gain, but it makes me feel confident. And when I feel good, I shoot good. So that's kind of why I like the limited optics division a little more. It's not
Right.
even really the single action ordeal. Although in carry optics, I'll be honest, shooting a Shadow 2, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't make a difference. But at sectional, I mean, it was my first week with the gun. I have this little bit of timidness because of how many steel on double action pull I would miss. It was almost every time. Or one stage I had, it was 28 rounds. It did 27 Alpha, 1 Charlie. My 1 Charlie was on the double action pull, first shot on a static target, open static target, directly in front of the start position.
Yeah,
But I popped it right up in the neck.
Yeah, but if you're the one shooting double action mini poppers, that's your own damn fault.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I might have designed that match, but you're doing something wrong if you really want to double action pull on the poppers. I mean, but they're all mini poppers, so it's great.
Right. That was a fun match, though.
Speaking of that, I actually had a buddy text me. He shot a match down in Austin because that's where he's from. They actually repurposed 2 of my Michigan section stages for their local match, which was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, especially, dude, it's November time. Like, my match was in April. But,
right.
So, have you given up on the target focus trainer on matches yet?
Oh yeah. After it hit me in the face twice in the same match, I was like, he did send me another one. I give him, I respect him for that, but I'll be honest, I sold the optic already. I'm going to get another one of them, so I'll try out this Gen 2. But I
Hmm.
ended up that whole ordeal. I was like, nope, I'm done. Got hit in the face twice in the same match, and then I got Starburst in my. I'm like, nope, we're going back to my SROs. We're going back to what I know. Especially headed into nationals at that point, and then Area 2 on top of it. So it was just, yeah, it
Hmm.
was a. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So.
Now, oh God, what was I gonna say? Oh, but yeah. So, what didn't you like about the Hollow Sun then?
It was just for me, I have very, very good vision.
Hmm.
And I have ADHD. So I get distracted easily. So if there's a multiple dots in my dot, even at any given time, I want to look at those dots. And now I'm looking into the optic and I'm not supposed to be looking at the dot at all. But when
Hmm.
I see multiples and I'm using it as a reference, it sometimes I'll miss the flash because with that hollow sun, I was getting a lot of, I don't run a lot of guys. It's a preference. I run my guns kind of wet. And with the hollow suns, that glass would get pretty plastered um, throughout a stage, even just a couple shots in, 8, 9 shots down. I'm starting to get crap in there, and then I'd start to get starburst, random starburst on it every once in a while. I was cleaning the optic after every single stage, so it wasn't a negative to the optic. It was more so it doesn't work with how I run my guns. So the Trigicon sits far enough forward. I don't get that, and the dot is so crisp like going back to the ADHD and kind of I'm very um I see very well. When it is crisp like that, I don't see a blur on the outside. It's easy for me to look past the dot. When I'm
Hmm.
looking at almost a thick circle and then a soft outer circle, it's more for my eyes. And I'm weird, but everyone sees different. Everyone's eyes are different. To me, that blur on the outside of a crisp dot is distracting to me.
Hmm. Gotcha.
So that's
Yeah.
all.
No, nothing wrong with that. I was just curious. It was because everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, the new hotness," but anyway, everyone's got
It is a
personal
great.
preference.
It's a great optic. It's not for me.
Yeah, just like
So
I'm liking the the RTS twos. I'm really enjoying to
yeah,
see more offerings, so I can't
right.
complain there. But excuse me. So moving on a little bit. So like you said, you made what, A class and limited optics this year, right? Because it's
Yep.
new. Did you come in as A or did you come in as B and then
I
bump?
I came in as a carry optics B, so
Okay.
I was, and I'm still a D in limited, mind you. I was a D class whenever I did switch guns, so I switched
Hmm.
guns and went up to B in carry optics. I was still, holding my own in B. I took second to Han Cholo, Robbie Torres over at Ryan Rocks in carry optics B class. I think it was by like a half a point or by a point or something like that, which was awesome because he's a great guy.
Hmm.
Um, but Yeah, I got A class limited optics this year, and after doing a couple majors as an A class, I've also found how much I have no desire to rush up to master anytime soon. Let's put it
Hmm.
that way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah, and that's always the hard part too. Right now, rushing up a class and then getting curb stomped within the class is very difficult. But it's more kind of rewarding to
right.
win a class, but and then actually be competitive at at matches. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting with limited optics. From what I see, there's not a massive top of. Well, there's always the good guys, right? Like if you look at nationals, like the guys who needed to finish in the top finished in the top, but you really couldn't
Hmm.
track who was the top dogs because there was no super squad. There
Yeah.
was no one was shooting the same zones, no one was shooting the same time frame. It was very
Right.
hard to track scores from like an observing standpoint on the outside, purely because Max and KC were the only two shooting together that was heat.
Right.
Like Tom Castro, Isaac Lockwood,
Yeah, I was with
um,
Isaac at nationals
Brendan,
and Sebastian Philo,
right, and then like Brendan Decker. Well, I'm sorry, Trace Decker.
Trace
Like
Decker.
no one was shooting at the same time, which was super
Right.
hard to track. So this year, going into 2024, it'll be a lot easier to track at nationals. So
Yeah, I'm excited for that. But at the same time, A class and why I say, I'll get my master naturally. I truly believe I'll get my master as a match bump at some point down the road, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now. That's how I want it to happen. I want it to happen because I did so well in A class, it was obvious I needed to move on.
mm,
I've kind of gotten over classifiers.
Mm-hmm.
and trying to always want that. You know, when you shoot, generally what I've found at a local level and only a local level, that's kind of that prize to get. To get good enough to get that classifier. But now that I've been out shooting across the country with some of the best around, you know, you really come to find none of that matters. All that matters is where you place. And if you become a paper master, paper GM, paper A, whatever it is, you're going to go to all these matches and you're going to be in the bottom of the pack every time, and people can get discouraged that way. That's for sure.
Right. Well, and like you've probably heard and people say, if you stop caring about the classifier, it'll happen. Like
Yeah.
I told my buddy West the other day. Well, it was probably months ago now. He finally made B class and open, but it was it's like, dude, just shoot it as a class, shoot it as a
Yeah.
stage. Like you got to put,
Congratulations, Lucky.
yeah. His name is Lucky, not for the fact to have good luck, but by the way,
Yeah, because he has bad luck.
exactly. Well, he's got luck. We'll just
Yeah,
leave it.
he's got some kind of luck.
Yeah. So no, but no, just and I told my buddy Brian Dawson, the guy who goes and shoots every freaking outdoor match he can, and he was like, dude, he messaged me last week or so. He's like, I don't know what to do. There's no match this weekend. I don't know what to do. I'm
I
like,
love Brian Dawson. He took I took an RO class with him. My original RO class I took with Dawson.
Yeah, he drives everywhere, but he has no
Yeah.
choice. He lives up in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So
Yeah, over on the west side of the state, I think, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
like in like Mansalona or Grayling. He lives in Grayling.
Oh, he
So
lives in Grayling. Got it.
yeah, so he has to drive everywhere. So it
Yeah.
sucks. But so we talked a little bit about you just mentioned your RO class. So you took that in what 22, 23?
22, 22.
Okay. So yeah, you took that in 22. Oh yeah, because that was last year in 22
Right.
at the very end of the year. I was supposed
Yep.
the wife. It was about around this time this last year.
Right. It was right as I was turning yeah, I had already been a match director for a year before I was an RO. But I had stepped in and helped out because we had no ROs
Mm-hmm.
and people had to learn the rules and learn it until we could get an RO class in there because there was none going on anywhere in the state and we needed to run the club.
Well,
So
yeah, yeah. Well, and you think about it, it's nice that Gary, we have an RMI like in the Brighton area. So
right,
it's not difficult to say, hey, Gary, can you come over and teach
right,
class? We got like 40 people.
right. And
But
Gary's awesome, so
yes, Gary is
he's
awesome.
who taught ours.
Yeah. He's a good dude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Gary's a good dude. So do you have any ambitions to, as a shooter, volunteer some time to work a major match?
Yeah, I absolutely did. That's on my list of goals this coming year is to work a major as a new goal for the year. Last year it was get into majors and nationals was a want. I honestly didn't expect the second half of the year to pop off like it did, and I'm really glad that it did because now my goals for next year are bigger. But it does include I would like to go somehow get myself into another match where I can travel across the country and work one of those simply because of expanding connections, meeting new people, and how much fun I've had doing that above all things. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what just yet, but I will definitely be talking to you about that because I will want your advice on that at some point.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll tell you which ones I'm working and which ones are good to work, especially since the ones closest to home are always the good ones. No, I'm
Right.
joking. There's always better matches to work anyway. But no, that's good to see. So, so 2022 was your first. Yeah, was that your first year shooting majors then?
Yes, or no. 2023 was my first year shooting majors. I shot no majors in 2022.
Okay, so with that, then that means what? Michigan section was your first major.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and then I saw you at Area 5.
Yep.
Ryan Rock. So that's three
Yep.
of them. What else did you shoot in this year?
Handgun Nats, and then I got into Area 2 very thankfully.
Oh, okay. So fair enough. You've shot a decent amount of majors at that point. Now, thinking about it, which match did you feel like you performed better at? Not looking at scores or thinking about scores. Was it Handgun Nationals or Area 2?
Area 2,
Okay.
all day. I mean, I'm very grateful that I prepped very well and took some advice from some experienced shooters who don't even live anywhere near us and never met me before, didn't have to help me with anything. just gave me little bits of small worded advice, and it was really surrounding mentality. So I went into nationals, and going into something that big, I just knew you got to shoot your game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. Nationals being what a lot of people called, sniper nationals or whatever. I
I
heard a
would
couple
call
different
that
things.
winter nationals purely because it was so cold in Ohio.
Oh, it's just freezing, man. It was rough. But
Mm-hmm.
just the distance on everything, it was, and you shot with me. You know, I'm someone who likes to run really fast, and I like to run my trigger as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Being faced with 30 to 40 yard poppers consecutively, 30 to 40 yard hard cover, 30 to 40 yard open targets, which is not as big of a deal, but it really narrowed me in because facing something like that, being my first year of majors and the exponential growth that I have had this year, it was a big kind of shocker when you actually walked out there and saw the distance at all this and how much slower I had to be efficient in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to completely shoot like a completely different shooter, essentially. But in the same aspect, I found that that type of shooter in me, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
could say, is I've learned a speed and a consistency at distance. But then I went to area two, and to me, almost like I'm sure we've heard about IPSC nationals and all the people who shot carry optics nationals are like, oh, this is nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? For me, that was kind of what area two was. It was a very, very well ran match, a very well designed match. The stages were incredible. I had never seen so many activators in such different ways,
Mm-hmm.
used in such different. I had to climb a wall. I used Cooper tunnels for the first time, and even with facing all of that new, I was able to narrow it down to shooting my game. And at no point, whether there was a mistake or otherwise, did I think of it as any different than how I would shoot a local match stage, I guess you could say. Minus the when you're walking out there at a local match saying, I'm going to put balls to the wall and we're going to put the hammer down. And if I mic, I mic.
Mm-hmm.
So, area two, with what I learned from nationals, was a huge success for me. I ended up one place behind Linda Turnbull, which was awesome for me just to see myself next to names who, when I started this game, I thought were incredible shooters. They still are, of course, right? But it's nice to be competing with them nowadays and continuing to make my way up. So, area two was it, man. I had a blast there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Now, what did you think of? So there was the motorcycle stage looked pretty cool. You got to sit at a piano at area two.
Yep.
You climbed a wall. Now I watched enough videos, and I think I watched yours too on the wall. Why were people unloading and showing clear standing on the wall? It absolutely drove me nuts. I
They
was like,
gave us the option.
no, I would. There would have been no option if I was running that stage. It'd been like,
Yeah.
no, you are muzzle down range. Walk your ass down that wall.
Right.
That's the last thing you need somebody to do is show clear, flat,
Balancing
drop
on a wall.
Fall. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, they gave us the option. I think it was because some people may have debated that they felt safer unloading it before they went down it. But we ran up it with a loaded gun anyway, so I don't really see much of the difference. But
Is that just like wow, like, and then the guys trying to get the PCC times are hilarious. Like,
oh yeah, I shot with the PCC Super Squad too, so I was right there for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Corey Shield had to repeat two stages, I think, because of them not able to pick up his time.
Did you ever hear him say my gun is really quiet?
Oh yeah.
Corey says that all the time. And the first time I met Corey, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll be there. Don't worry. Now, this is why I wish you could kind of swap timers. Like, I love the AMG timer, but like the blue bricks or the gray bricks are so much better at picking up PCC noises. But to be fair and consistent, like using the same timer for each shooter is more important than I feel than making sure you get the. I don't know. Is it a
trade off.
Right? Is it a competitive equity thing of using the same timer on every shooter, or swapping out a timer to make sure you get accurate shots for PCC?
Right.
I don't so that's always the ebb and flow. The part that I have a problem with internally, I'm like, I know that blue brick is better on a PCC, but
Right.
if you do hold the AMG properly and you have the sensitivity turned up, you are fine.
You'll pick it up. Yeah.
That wall stage was so interesting, though. I would have put that on. I would have put that on a stick. Like if you could put
What?
the timer on a selfie stick, so then when you could just throw it up there and
Tilt
then
it up in the air.
yeah, but
That would have worked great. It really would have.
yeah.
It
No,
was a challenging stage though. It was cool.
yeah. Now the motor, like from what I heard, it was like a Top Gun themed match.
Yeah, the whole thing was Top Gun. I even got the patch here sitting right behind me. This was basically the theme. The theme for the whole match was all Top Gun themed.
Hmm.
The jerseys, every single stage was named after some sort of quote and or event in the movie. Balls of Fire was the one with the piano, and you walked up there, they were playing Balls of Fire during your walkthrough, which was it was awesome. The ROs there running this match were phenomenal. They really
Yeah.
played the part. Some of them even had call signs and had patches made and put them on their RO jerseys.
That's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah.
now did it on that stage with the piano with that in that first like wall? Was that a door? Was that an actual working door, or was it just like a funky looking wall? Because it looked like there was a door there. Like it would have been right in. So if you're facing downrange and you're sitting at the piano, it'd been probably smack dab with the piano. Like it was in the. It just was like that front wall section.
I think there was a ground target right there, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I don't think there was. I'd have to look at the video. I remember ditching out. It was loaded gun on the table, and it was off to the right side.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that one was either 3 steel and 2 target, or it was 2 steel and a swinger.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those 2 stages. But I don't remember if that. I know the only door was on the one where it was the in and out. Like it was a bunch of ports you had to dive in, or not ports, but sections you really hit, shooting positions you had to completely dive into and attack on your way in, hurry up, run to the next one, attack on your way in. Then there was a door that activated a clamshell target, but that was the only door at the match.
Gotcha. Maybe we'll look up the video after this and we'll figure that out. So the listeners don't have to listen through me ramble through my computer to find a video.
Right.
But so currently, like so what are your current goals for practical shooting?
I am someone who goes all into everything, or I don't. There's no point of me putting all of my time, money, and heart and effort, as well as community, surrounding myself friend-wise, family-wise, and so on, around something I love, unless I'm in it for the long run. This sport saved my life, and I have absolutely no plans on pumping the brakes. I have what in the bodybuilding world, and anyone who bodybuilds knows this, what they call Kai greening it in a way. And that man counted every green bean, every piece of broccoli, everything counted, right? I'm someone who counts every single bullet to make sure that I can continue to do this. I have everything in on this. I even quit a 4-year career in construction and concrete because it was becoming extremely detrimental to my health and it was affecting my ability to do this. So I'm now on a whole switch to taking all of my engineering background and putting it into the firearms industry, because my goals in practical shooting are to be sitting right there with Tom, with Max, with Nils, JJ, and so on. And I have every bit of want and will. And a lot of people laugh at that, but that's also the difference in the mentality of whether or not people who get there get close and the people who don't. Not everybody, but that's something that I've always believed in, is that if you believe you can do something and you truly believe it, as long as you put a plan into place, you can achieve those goals. It's not a matter of when at that, or if at that point, it becomes a full matter of when. So my goals are truly to climb all the way to the top of this, to continue to put everything that I have into this, because it has given so much back to me. I also want to get to that point so that I can give back to other people. I do some instruction now and I do teach a little bit, but I'm really trying to make my way into those ranks so that I can continue to enjoy this sport, be surrounded by it on a daily basis, and then at that point be able to give back to those who changed my life with this sport. I hope to be able to pass that forward. So it's kind of a mix of things, but it's all wound together.
Gotcha. No, that definitely makes sense. Now, definitely makes sense. But for first place, you'd still be shorter than Nils if he was sitting down on it.
Yeah, this is true.
Sorry, just you want to be standing there with Nils. I'm like, sorry, you are far too short to ride this bus.
I'm 5'10", by the way. I'm still short compared to Nils, but
everyone is still short.
Hell, Tom makes me feel short when I'm standing next to him half the time.
Well, it's because he's got them broad, beefy shoulders, right?
Oh yeah, big old Tom. Love Tom. Great guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Tom is a good dude, and I appreciate him wholeheartedly.
Yeah, his mentality is an example of kind of what I'm. Why I always liked Tom Castro. And when I finally got to meet and spend some time with him throughout these last few major matches, I was really grateful because he kind of has that same like just let's go attitude. Let's get it done.
Did you ever go out to
Make it
dinner with
happen.
him?
I did.
Okay.
At the end of area two.
Did they have enough sweet and low on the table for him?
We went to a steakhouse. I don't think he was looking for sweet and low.
Oh, he definitely was. He probably got tea. He definitely probably got tea and was asking, "Where's my pink sugar at?"
Where's my pink sugar at? I'll have to pay attention next time. I did not see that.
I'll just have to tag you next time into my next sweet and low story and see if the right people reply to that. So it's always funny. I'll tell you the inside joke in a bit, but it's good. I like picking on Tom and his sweet and low. But anyway, moving on a little bit, really back towards shooting. You did mention, you do teaching a little bit. Is that more on a private one-on-one basis or more of a online program?
Private one-on-one. Online programs is something that, as I've been building, I started a YouTube this year. Obviously, as many who follow me, I've been doing videography, kind of hobby style for a long time. I do edit all my own videos and film almost all of it. So I do have the desire to eventually get into some online coaching. I have noticed as of recent more and more people who do that. So it's something I do want to venture into. But as of right now, it's just been private clients, one-on-one teaching, and kind of been simplifying it to that just lately. But I would like to change that and have plans on changing that in the future.
Right, exactly. No, and it's cool. I do like the YouTube journey kind of thing. For myself, like when I started doing the YouTube channel, I was terrible at it. I'm still terrible at it. That's why I only do podcasts. I put podcasts out and match videos. Like,
They're great.
But my buddy David Blanton, the Humble Marksman, he told me, like, in all honesty, he did it from the kindness of his heart, and he said, "Dude, you suck at this. You should kind of like stop trying at it." I'm like, okay. well, I was wasting so much time trying to edit it better or try to figure out. I just don't have the knack for catchy, punchy video, like talking head video, right? Now, what I mean by talking head, it's just you talking to the camera about something, right? Like, I could talk about this water bottle cap for 20 minutes. I mean, and how great it is. It would still, like, I would edit it terribly and it wouldn't be great. So I learned just do a podcast, be myself, and not really, put low caring into it, right? So you have to edit it enough to make it where you put your show together and it's decent, right?
Yeah.
So, and I thank David every time because I don't really make YouTube videos. Now I might do some impromptu, like, low budget, oh, hey, here's this cool product I got kind of thing. But when I tried to high budget value edit things, it didn't work for me. I mean, maybe now that I understand a little bit more of editing and I'm familiar in my platform and my program that I do it in, I could probably give it a shot. But nor do I have the equipment to do it either. Like my phone sitting right here is handy to do that crap. But
that's what I use, man. I got the Instago and I got a iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I got for the camera, and I take everything in cinematic and I edit everything on the phone. I have a laptop, but I have not done any editing on it at all. So I'm with you. I use the minimal resources.
Well, and it'd be nice to have a second phone. Like if I was smart, I'd have a business, and then my business would have a phone, or honestly, shit, and something with service, but not really have a phone number, just so you could take video and then send it without having Wi-Fi. But
right.
But anyway, no, a second phone would be nice for that crap, because then you could have your phone and you could text the people you need to talk to, and then still have your camera ready instead of, let me put my camera over here.
Storage space becomes a problem too over time.
It doesn't help with however many cloud services you have either. It just eats up somewhere else too. So, so currently, what you shot Area 2, so they had 2 jungle runs, right? Which I thought there was only one jungle run until I watched the videos, and like the steel, like, where did the steel go on this stage? Oh wait, that's the other one.
Right, exactly.
Do you wish that every range could have a jungle run space?
Oh That's my jam, man. I'm a running shooter. I'm someone who loves to run. You give me a chance to open my legs up, I'm gonna do it. I had a ball. If I those being my first two, just from the first one to the second one was a 20% increase in scoring.
Hmm.
Put me on another one. I want to keep playing these because they really are a ball.
Yeah, I watched Christian's video on it, and it's like, yeah, you just got to keep running and
Yeah.
like at full speed, and then just try to shoot because
Another
it's.
good one to watch is Isaac's, is Lockwood's.
Mhm.
He's another one who did an absolutely incredible job at just all he was thinking about, and we were talking about it at the end of the match was keep moving, keep my legs moving, keep my legs moving, when you watch back on these guys who were just thinking about that, that's exactly what they did. I was thinking legs moving, but I had a couple little stutters here and there. But then in the second half of the big one that everyone saw Christian's video on with the 5 mini poppers that were camouflaged.
Mhm.
I just picked my legs up because I started thinking I gotta be faster than that. I gotta be faster than that.
Right, and it almost I would have thought would have been better if they were like neon yellow, like super
Yeah,
like vibrant. But then you leave the other. But then here's the problem, right? You'd have these ones painted yellow, these ones painted brown, and yeah,
yeah.
but that brown poppers, dicks.
FDE sand colored poppers in the middle of the desert. Evil.
Super evil. I mean, like, I don't. I've seen, yellow, blue, green. Like, what the funny part is, we know Jeffrey Garrick from our area, but he's
Yep.
colorblind. So you
Yep.
paint the poppers a color where he couldn't tell, right?
Yeah.
Well, especially if you had like no shoot poppers and like regular poppers, and you paint some blue
Right.
and you paint some purple. Jeffrey would be like, I can't tell which ones are
Yeah,
which.
he has no idea which ones are which. No.
But
Yeah,
no,
Jeff's an awesome guy as well.
yeah, for a guy who's, I want to say we only have now we have 3 GMs in Michigan. I don't know if there's any other GMs in Michigan, other than John Chinchen, which I don't think you actually got to meet John Chinchen before he retired from
I
shooting.
don't think so.
He lives in the near the Detroit area. He was a carry optic shooter. Made GM with a Glock 19 and
Yeah.
yeah. So and then we got
Then we
Jake
got
Walker.
Russ.
Um, Russ isn't from Michigan though. I thought he's from Ohio.
Oh, that's right. He is from Ohio.
Yeah, I mean he's always
Jake.
shooting. Yep, and then Jake Walker just made GM. So
Yep, which that's my boy there. So congratulations, Jake. That is awesome, man. I'll be joining you soon enough. Give me a couple years.
yeah. Well, I mean, when you have a range in your backyard, it kind of makes things a
Yeah,
little bit easier.
yeah. I'm hoping we've been talking. I'm hoping to learn a lot from him as well. I learned a lot from him this year as well, but him and Josh Espinosa both. But I'm planning on going over to Jake's and doing some training with him over the winter time here. So
Yeah,
we'll
just
see
don't
what
grow a
comes of
man
that.
bun like Josh. Please don't.
I won't. My hair's getting long though, man. I'm chopping it off this week though.
Hmm.
It was getting grown out for hunting.
Hmm. Did you see anything so far?
Oh yeah, my for opening day I saw 14 does and uh, 2 spikes, but up north it has to be 3 on the side for you to shoot it, and I wasn't gonna go for a 4 point anyway. My buddy's dad shot a nice 6, but besides that, I mean, I heard 200 something plus shots go off within a couple of miles of the area, so people were getting lucky. But unfortunately, the last couple days I really didn't see much, but very annoying red squirrels and partridges landing in said squirrel's tree, and then said squirrel screaming at everybody for an hour straight. So
Yeah.
I saw
No.
squirrels.
Yeah. So you actually took some class. Did you take one or multiple classes in 2023?
I took technically it was in 2022 because it
Hmm.
was December and I drove down to Florida
Hmm.
and took a class with Ben Stoger.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
but
not
that was the only one I took.
okay. It's fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess I for some reason thought you took another one later this year.
Well,
So
we were hosting Ben Stoger over at Oakland County, but I ended up giving my spot up to Ziliang Zhang. He kind of was late to the punch, being able to register, and I knew it was something he really wanted to do, and I had already taken a class from Ben. So him as a close friend, I had given my spot up so that he could have the opportunity, and he had a great time. Obviously, we share what we learn, so it all works out within the group. But
right. Yeah.
that
100.
was the one that I was supposed to do.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I thought. So with your shoot limited optics, you're still shooting the Shadow 2, right?
Yeah.
With the DWX as a backup.
Yeah.
What made you want to get a DWX instead of just a second Shadow 2?
So I have very, very, very large hands. And the only issue I ever run into with the Shadow 2 is if it's a lot of quick back and forth movement, I almost will nudge my trigger finger every once in a while into a hook. So I wanted to, and I've mitigated it a lot, but over time, shooting people's 2011s, everyone in my division shooting 2011s, even just when the Dan Wesson came out, before I even was really shooting the Shadow, I was trying to get a Dan Wesson DWX when I got the Shadow, but obviously when you have a week's notice, that was not very easy to do, especially with getting an optics cut on it and having it ready for sectionals. So, but I notice with my long fingers, and not that it really matters, it could all be just me, but I every once in a while start to crowd that trigger a little bit on the Shadow. Most people are guilty of it. We get running around so fast it can happen, and then I'll pull that shot and hook it. Yes, I can still do it with the DWX. It is just as possible, but the way that flattened out front of a block trigger fits my finger gives me an index point every single time I put my finger on the trigger. And although I have tried, I have a fully Cajunized Shadow 2. I use an Armory Craft flat fronted trigger, tried a handful of different triggers, including Cajuns. And just the roundness of a trigger, the hook of it, makes my fingers, who get really sweaty hands, start to kind of creep down and then creep around. And I wanted to try and kind of tune that out a little bit. So with the block trigger having an index on it, the grip is the exact same on the DWX as it is on the Shadow. The only thing that I feel that is different is I don't have a gas pedal on the DWX, and I use a nitro fin on the Shadow. Besides that, the holster draw is the exact same, and the trigger pull is a little bit better. So that is why I went with the DWX.
Now on the DWX, do you have? Is it compatible in your Shadow 2 holster?
It is one of them. So my sponsor's holster, Strike 80, it actually both fit in that one. My GX, only my Shadow fits into. I run one or the other based on whatever I need it for, but my holster sponsor kind of gives me everything for duty and carry purposes more so than competition, but he does make me some really nice competition holsters that I will use from time to time depending on the gun. But that's the only thing, is it was supposed to be, so it wasn't, at least in my GX, but it is in other ones. So that's a yes or no answer, I guess you could say. It depends on the holster.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's kind of just like specific. It's just like match fit parts versus stock drop in parts. Right. You're always going to have some fitting, or some things say they're going to work, but they don't, because just tolerancing. Tolerance stacking is a thing, right?
Right.
But so. Between running, the pivoting trigger on a Shadow 2 between your DWX, what style of trigger do you prefer? Do you like the pivoting one, or are you more preferred to the DWX, flat face, sliding bar, or sliding, God, what do they call that? Brain fart.
Roller.
The bow. It's a bow. Yeah, the bow trigger.
Yeah. Bow. It's just a bow. I mean, I can barely even feel the bow. I have the DWX right here. Actually, there is really no bow to it besides just small concaves, at the bottom and at the top. But the DWX trigger is very flat. So there's really no bow at all, which is why I prefer it.
Well, what I mean by bow is, so the trigger shoe sits on the bow that goes around the magazine.
Oh, you're talking about the internal bow. Okay.
Right, yeah. Because on the Shadow 2, you got a trigger pin that holds the trigger into the gun, and it fulcrums or pivots off of that pivot pin.
Right.
Or instead of the DWX, that just slides back and forth.
Gotcha.
For audio listeners,
I know exactly what you mean.
I am doing trigger motions with my fingies. I normally have my grip keeper with me, but I took it downstairs because I needed to add grip tape to it. I want to try putting grip tape on the darn thing.
I need to get one of those. I'm going to try one of those.
You should. They're pretty cool. Honestly, they're pretty cool, especially like I'm sitting here at my desk, right? Fidgeting alone, normally, I have to do things with my hands, especially during these. My hands kind of wander around, or I really talk with my hands. Even at work, talking to people in person, I talk with my hands. So with having the grip keeper here normally on my desk, it's very therapeutic. It's very therapeutic to have the the hand fidget, right? I can just
Right.
fidget with my hand and kind of just stay engaged and just keep talking. So maybe sometimes listeners or visual learners, visual watchers of the podcast on YouTube definitely can see me doing that from time to time on the video screen.
Right.
But that's why we do video, because
Exactly.
I mean, it's easier to see if you're going to start talking or I'm going to start talking, but so I have a banner behind me, I guess, too. But
Yeah.
but anyway, Lord have mercy. So you don't do you plan on ever reloading, or you just
Oh, I
find it?
do.
Okay.
100% I do. That is on my list of hopes to do. Obviously, I've been so head first into the sport. I wasn't planning on going to nationals or to area two prior to them both. So, press money went into match money, but I will be hopefully getting something put together this winter time so that I can start to, because I'm not gonna lie, I do get kind of tired of seeing my at chrono with everybody else and my ammo coming out at like 140 power factor when I have a whole 10 to spare at that point. So I think I'm now at a point where I would like to kind of start tuning my ammo to my gun a little bit better, especially now that I have the DWX.
Yeah. Oh well, absolutely. Now are they both the same barrel length?
I
Relatively
think
close.
relatively. I believe the DWX is a true 5, and I think that the Shadow's like a 4.88 or something like that, if I remember correctly. It's not like a true 5. I may be wrong. I think so.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
so either way, you build it for the shorter barrel, and you kind of it's only going to gain velocity. So if you plan it at the
Exactly.
shorter barrel, you go for 132. You might be at 135 by the time you're done with
Right.
the longer barrel. But
Right.
here nor there, right? So I guess I've got a couple more. I've got a couple more questions. I forget my list is right in front of me, but this is the benefit of having two monitors, people. You can look at one over here and have stuff over here. But anyway, I do have a couple more questions kind of before we get towards the end of the show. What is something that current Alex would like to tell past Alex about shooting?
Man, there's a lot of things that
Well,
current Alex could tell old Alex about shooting.
So here's what I test you to do this, right? You find a video of you currently shooting and go back in your archives of your phone and find like a video of you first, maybe, I'll be fair to you. Your first video of 2022 then, I guess, instead of fresh.
Right.
Post those side by side and, but really, yeah. What's the biggest thing I think you could think of?
Just go out there and shoot. Quit thinking about it. Quit thinking about it. Because I can even tell myself looking at old videos, and I still have them all. I've been filming ever since I started this game, so I had a record of it. You could tell, I mean, I even back then, I used to walk up to local matches right there with guys that I've always shot with, and I'm all fine till they walk me up there and say, make ready. And all of a sudden I'm the Energizer Bunny and I'm shaking and I'm nervous and and then I make a mistake in the middle of the stage. So all of a sudden I start getting nervous and you can see my brain start to stutter and just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would probably tell myself is trust your abilities. Just get through it, stay consistent in it, and stop thinking about it. Just do it. Send it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Great point of advice to tell your past self. So other than this is not where we talk about sponsors. I have to preface this most of the time because people do talk about sponsors at this point, but no, don't do that. Who were some of your biggest mentors or supporters in the sport, not including sponsors?
Man, there's a couple, and I will apologize. I'll apologize because I know I'm gonna miss. There's a lot of people, and I'll miss a few. But one would be Pat Schwartz. Pat Schwartz, I've been playing this game with since we started. We both kind of started around the same time, and him and I, man, if you have not heard, we went about 36 matches. I think it was 36 matches in a row where him and I were one place ahead or behind each other. And it was always a half a point or 1 second. He's been shooting with me this whole time. On top of that, just guys who really gave me advice and really brought me up. Josh Renlin, James Worm, Matt Decker, Ziliang Zhang. These guys had their experience. And Chris Arachi, he's another really big one, is Chris Arachi. I looked up to him at my home club when I first came into the game, and he's helped me quite a bit along the way, without a doubt, especially since we are kind of similar styled shooters at times. At least I believe. But Chris may tell you totally different. But Chris Arachi as well is on that list. And these guys have had most of them, at least especially, Matt, James, Renlin, and Chris have been around the majors. They've been to the big game. They've played it quite a bit. They've also all been playing this game for north of 5, 6, up to 10 years. Heck, I think James and Matt have been playing this game for 10 years. But those guys really, it didn't matter what match it was. They knew I was receptive to, I wanted to grow. So I'd get to the end of any, and to this day, James Worm is really one that I work with quite a bit. And we'll finish a stage at Raccoon, as I'm sure you might have noticed when we all shot together at Raccoon. I'll finish a stage, come around the corner, and James standing there like, Dad. Like, all right, so explain those Charlies right in front of you. Why did you give up those easy alphas? All right, so what happened on that swinger back there? Why'd you hang up? All right, so tell me what you saw when you shot that no-shoot. Anytime I'd come around the corner, he'd force me to critically think what I just did so that I would never sit there and be mad at myself for what I just did. So no matter...
So does he get to blame himself for being left-handed then?
It's all right. We all blame him for it anyway. Anytime he comes up. Here comes the lefty.
He makes fun of everybody for making fun of him, but he's got to go the wrong way at half the stages, and it's like,
exactly. Draws the gun with the wrong hand. I don't know.
I can forgive that. That's forgivable, but it's usually like, well, I'm going to shoot it the opposite direction because I'm a lefty.
Right. Because a right-handed shooter designed the stage.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that happens. Yeah. I've done it as a previous match director. I have done it.
And honestly, it's one of those things that people don't think about either. It's like no. I don't think it's intentional for the most part.
No.
I mean, there might be the intentional PCC death lean that's like horrible, but it's like, yeah.
They have lasers. They can just reach it around the wall.
Not when it's at 25 plus yards.
They can try. They got long guns. They'll make it.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. I get this question. I'm stealing this one from. You're the first person to get this question, so it feels somewhat special. I'm stealing this from the Casual Shooters podcast, and my buddy JB likes to ask this question too. So, what is your make ready?
What is like my routine when I make ready?
Exactly. What is your make ready?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question because I have brought this up to people about how non-shooters, and they asked it like, you do this same thing. It's like a tick. Like for most of us, as you know, our make ready is that if we don't do it right, something bad might happen, which I have, or I do it wrong and my gun's not loaded when I started the match because I just put the magazine in and took it out. But my make ready is I always grab hat, start camera. I generally would grab hat with both my hands. I put my left hand on my first magazine, my right hand on my gun, grab the gun, pull it out. My back magazine is my Barney magazine. I put it in. I rack it, I pull it out, put it back, flick the safety up, and then I grab my front. I keep a magazine in the front right by my holster. It's also for like unloaded starts and whatnot. And I put that in, take a sight picture on my first 3 targets and wherever my last 3 targets are. First 3 to last 3, even if I can't see them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Put the gun in the holster, safety on, keep my hand on, my left hand comes up, and I go back 1, 2, 3, and I might run all the way through it if I can see it real quick. That or I'll go 1, 2, 3, and I'll go to the last 3 targets, 3, 2, 1. Put my hands back on both. I take a big deep breath, and I always do the same thing. Next time we're shooting, pay attention. You'll notice it pretty quick. I take a big deep breath.
The horse
and
noise.
I do that, I do the horse noise almost every time, man. If it's not that, it's one or the other. And then I'll drop my hands down, take one deep breath, and then just start breathing slowly. And I'm just focusing and thinking about my breath until I hear that timer go off. I don't hear, are you ready, stand by. I just hear beep. So.
Yeah, don't feel. Yeah, so the breath thing is super kind of not the horse noise. That's kind of funny, but no, but I do. I will exhale as well, just like because everyone always, or especially even when you're done shooting, right? Like you unload, show clear, and or they're like, you shoot your last target. And it's not that I'm even looking around, or I'm just like, you're done shooting. I'll take the mag out of the gun, and I'll just be like, also just like breathe all the stress out, right?
Right.
The adrenaline, the stress, just breathe it all out. Get the gun clear, put it all away. You know,
Go see how bad you suck or how bad you don't.
well, it's not even that. It's like, or you know you killed it, and it's just like you need to calm down because it's time to put. You know, you've got to be at that point. It's time to be calm, be safe, put the thing away so you can finish the match, right? Like,
Yeah, see, I've kind of started to pick up. I've noticed because he's the only other person I've seen really do it.
hmm
Is again back to Castro.
hmm
I've gotten to a point where sometimes if I killed it, you'll hear me go woo from across the range, and that's how I'll let it out. But I'll do it the second I holster my gun, and now I'm serious again. Now we're focused again. But I had to let that out.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, like there's plenty of times like, but I will do that after I put my gun out. But that's just me. That's just me. But
Yeah.
no. So going on, we're moving to the second to last question. Who are your sponsors, your partners, your supporter? Insert company names here.
Okay, gotcha. Well, as a first and primarily, I shoot for Lot Grips. They have done a lot for me over the last year and a half since they picked me up. They actually found me and picked me up, which was a huge boost of confidence for me. And since then, I've been able to help them develop some new products, especially when my background was in metalwork. And as I've gotten through all of the changes in firearms, I have gotten to help them, test out a lot of the new stuff like the lockjaws, some other products that are not out yet that me and a couple other shooters have been testing out rigorously. And they won't put them out till they're good. I won't say what it is, but they've given me a lot of opportunity. Is kind of what I'm getting at. And next to them, I have Odin Armory, Carl Howard. Unfortunately, he doesn't even make anything for the guns I shoot anymore, which is sad to me. Like I'm bummed, but he only can make what he can make, and I'm only hoping that he does come out with some that work for the stuff that I use. But he helped me get the Shadow whenever the Sig blew up. He pitched in on me getting the Shadow, which was a huge help. But I used to use all of his folding gas pedals, and I still have them on my Sig. I still recommend them to other people when they're looking into them for those platforms. Strike 80 holster. My buddy Todd, he lives out in South Carolina. We actually knew each other through the car world first, binarily, and he was my first ever sponsor. I told him I was loving it when I first got into it, and he was getting into making custom holsters, and he's like, well, hey, let me make one for you. Well, I had bought one of his. We got along really well. He had great customer service. So then we found out we knew each other before binarily. And he's been with me since I first started competitive shooting because I told him, dude, I love this. I'm diving in on this. I need a new holster for this gun. Is there any way, I was pinching pennies at the time. I'm like, is there any way I'm trying to do this match and this other one just broke. Is there any way you could send it to me and bro, I'll Venmo you next week? He was like, yeah, I got you. I'll take care of you. And he took care of me. And then lastly, is Black Mountain Defense. It's actually this company right here. It's IDS gym, Integrative Defensive Strategies and Jiu-Jitsu gym over in Shelby Township, taught by Peter Barashai. Peter Barashai actually has his own curriculum of like handgun 1, handgun 2, rifle 1, rifle 2. He's an absolutely incredible instructor. He got me in there doing Krav Maga in the first place because I also have a background in security. And we do jujitsu there, integrated defensive strategies, which is gunfighting, knife fighting, pretty much real life scenario fighting, as well as, vehicle breaching and or being attacked in your vehicle, what to do, a lot of concealed carry stuff. But he's a big supporter of me. I train at his gym, and I get to train there for free, which is absolutely incredible of him to do for me. And I get to spread the name of Black Mountain Defense across to other shooters and get more shooters into more than just shooting.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely cool. And those are some cool companies to hear about. Two of those I've never heard of before, but I mean, we've talked about them before.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than in that space, I've never heard of them. So that's kind of cool that they're helping support you and whatnot. But no, it's cool. Lock Grips is cool. As people don't know, Lock Grips is in Door, Michigan. So probably, I think they're right down the road from South Kent. So South Kent Sportsman's Club over there by Grand Rapids. So
Right.
But no, that's cool. Alex, if people want to get a hold of you, talk to you about shooting, what's the best way to do that?
By Instagram. Anyone, please feel free to message me anything. I love answering questions. I love helping other people out. No, I'm no national or world champion yet. but just speaking freely here.
Mm-hmm.
But I love influencing other people in this sport, and I love to help out, give advice, share ideas. I mean, we all love talking about guns, so we can always do that as well. Or if you're interested in hearing about IDS, self-defense, jujitsu, or anything else, as well as how you can contribute the two, or at least make the two work together. But dude, I just went blank.
It's okay. I mean,
I just went so. I've been doing great this whole time. I just went blank.
it's all good. It's usually how it goes, right? It keeps rolling until you just hit the mental break wall, but it's okay. So, listeners know if you want to get out to Alex, reach him out at social media. Check out his sponsors, give him some support. If you use their products, post on the social medias. It really helps a lot break out through those algorithms and those shadow bans. But brother, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me in front of the podcast community. So thank you, brother.
Thank you. Oh, and it was now that I remembered, my brain caught up. It was my Instagram, which is Alex_Cate, Cate, and then I have a YouTube, which is Tex, as in Texas, Cate on YouTube. So like Alex, but the L is a T.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But there you go. Now, yeah. So check all that out, guys. And listeners, until next time, get out and do the things. And I will see you on the next one.